All right, good morning. Welcome in. We are the Out of Bounds Show. We've got Bartoo's Bangers and Show Me the Money coming up here. And this is ESPN 105.9 The Zone. You can watch the show right now on YouTube. Search Out of Bounds Sports. YouTube, search Out of Bounds Sports. We'll be live from Pearl River Resort. We'll be at the Sports Book tomorrow. We've been at Dancing Rabbit Golf Club the last, I think, dozen times. We'll be at the Sports Book tomorrow, the Golden Moon Timeout Lounge on the property of Pearl River Resort. Jackson?
When the lights are about to be turned off, you know what you need. Because you got to somehow make that paper, right?
Hey, show me the money!
You come to the right place for that. Because it's time for Bo Bounds to
Show me the money!
show you the...
Oh, my goodness. Bet 50 at the Sports Book. Play award-winning Dancing Rabbit Golf Club for $40. Book your stay and play right now. It feels great. Woke up this morning. It was 53 degrees. Love it. We welcome in Diamond Dave Bartoo, handicapper to the stars. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Diamond Dave, good morning.
Good morning, dude. How you doing?
Good, man. We're just rolling along. Jackson Meadows told us a story about getting asked to leave from a very high-end white tablecloth restaurant. So we got a kick out of that. He said he got into the bottomless mimosas at brunch, Bartoo.
Shocking. Like Grandpappy said, you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning.
You damn right. Yes, sirree.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Well, I got lit up a little bit yesterday by an assistant GM in the NFL. Oh my gosh! I'm like, is this a case of you guys not winning games and being frustrated and taking it out on somebody? Because that's what it feels like right now.
Yes.
You're talking a bunch of mumbo jumbo. Yeah, I happened to be on the wrong call at the wrong time with the right person that was really irritated and needed to take it out on somebody.
Ooh, I've been there, my man.
Yeah.
I've been there.
If you have that on your sports cards bingo, getting chewed out by an assistant GM from the NFL, that was me yesterday.
Hey, I've been chewed out by athletic directors and SIDs. It doesn't hit the same now at my age because I may bite back the last 5-6 years. But anyway, or 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Bartoo on the Out of Bounds Show. We're going to jump into it. But first, I want Bartoo to describe, because Bartoo handicaps the games, looks at the model, and so on. Describe what an upset that was, Vanderbilt beating Alabama last weekend, Bartoo.
Oh, gosh, what was the line? It's hard
24.
to describe, but it was, I think, yeah, historically, it's huge. But I like to look at the flip side of it, though, right? Because everybody's seemed to go, oh, my God, I can't believe this happened, which it was amazing. But I think one of the questions that wasn't answered is why? How do we get to this point, right? And I think lost in all of this is what Vanderbilt has become this year. Now, the Vanderbilt may go back to being Vanderbilt next year, but I think we got to understand when Clark Lee got there, this was a program that recruited in the 50s. Coming into the season, this was the 37th best high school recruiter in college football. Now, it's not number one like Alabama, number two like Georgia, right? But the talent gap has closed significantly versus where we were with Vanderbilt in the past decades. So Clark's done a good job there. Clark had done, up until this year, had done a terrible job staffing. Not a good staffer. But he brought in Timothy Beck, one of our rising stars, one of the top 4 young offensive coordinators in college football. He brought in Jerry Kill, who, if he was still a head coach, is a top 20 graded head coach in college football. And obviously with Diego, that was a bit of a wild card. He reminds me of Jeremiah Masoli, right? Just a bowling ball of a player, sandlot kind of guy, and goes out there and wins. And then on top of that, I don't think a lot of people realize, going into that game last week, in my numbers, I had Vanderbilt the 22nd best scoring efficiency offense in college football.
You said that on the air. That's why you picked the over.
That's why I picked the over, because we had two really good offenses. What did we get? What was that score? 40-34, something like that, right? So we had the offense. We got what we expected. I just don't think people, including myself, right? There's no way you could have prognosticated the upset. But I felt it was going to be a high-scoring game, and Vanderbilt was home. And one of my big questions was, what was Georgia and Alabama going to do the next week after playing each other? Because we all know about the Alabama hangover for a lot of teams. Would both of them? Alabama didn't cover, Georgia didn't cover. Now, obviously, Georgia took care of business at home, but I think Vanderbilt, we're really underestimating how good the staffing and player personnel has changed over the last 4 years at Vanderbilt. Hell, why don't we move? You want to dive into Vanderbilt, Kentucky?
Yeah, let's
right
do
now?
that, since that's a good segue, and not go back to it, and then we'll do Ole Miss LSU. I love that. Vanderbilt goes to Kentucky this weekend, Bartoo. Unpack the fact that it could be a letdown game for them, and the line's, right, I think, 14.5 or something.
It's 14.5, right? And what do we know about Kentucky? Their offense sucks, right? I mean, it's just all you got to do is say Mark Stoops, the offense isn't going to be in the top 75 in the country, like ever. All right. So you got a team at home that's laying 14 that offensively is not going to put up any numbers, shouldn't. Defensively, Brad White, one of the best in the country, is going to shut them down or try to. And then now you have Vanderbilt, who has a top 25 scoring efficiency offense and a really bad defense. So you got the 91st defense or the 108th defense going up against the 91st offense. That's a wash to me. And then you have a 25 offense going up against Kentucky's 13 defense. Now, everything points to Kentucky winning the football game, right? I mean, you're at home, you got better recruiting. But when you actually look at the numbers, what these teams have put up from a recruiting standpoint, we're looking at 37 versus 27. Not that far apart either. I still think Kentucky wins this football game, but I really like taking Vanderbilt plus 14 with that offense against the defensive-oriented team.
Okay. So 14.5 in Lexington. Kentucky's offense is terrible. Their defense is unbelievable. And then this is – if they play, if they don't just, mail it in after everybody tells them how awesome they are, then you're expecting a much closer ball game. You could see it anywhere between like 3 and 8 instead of 14.5, right, is what you're saying.
Exactly. But we have strength versus strength, right? We got a good offense versus a good defense. We have weakness versus weakness. Kentucky's offense, Vanderbilt's defense, right? And so, to me, I would have expected this line to be more of a single digit, a one-score football game. The fact that I'm getting, if you can get 14.5, you're getting 3 scores, right? I mean, you're getting 2 touchdowns and a field goal to beat you. I like my chances.
Okay.
And that's one of my favorite SEC leans on the weekend.
Bam. Bartoo on the Out of Bounds Show. Brought to you by the Wings and Ice Cold Stella Artois at Martin's in Livingston. Great place to watch the games this week and this weekend. Bartoo joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Okay, Bartoo, Ole Miss at LSU, and Ole Miss is laying 3.5, and the total is 63.5.
I did this one. I just keep staring at the screen. I mean, aren't you totally fascinated in what's going to happen with this football game?
Yes.
Did you really have any, right? I mean, it's like, so LSU has seemingly turned a little bit of a corner defensively, right? They're still 61st in the country, but they're progressing. They're moving forward. And Ole Miss's strength isn't the offense. It's their number 3 scoring efficiency defense, which none of us would have probably ever expected. But Pete Golding is doing a fantastic job this year, and I think he's highly overlooked because Lane does such a good job calling the offense. That's right. Lane calls the offense, not any of you wacko conspiracy theorists thinking somebody else does ever for Lane Kiffin. And then on the offensive side, you still have Lane and Dart, number 12 in the country. LSU's 27. And, LSU's at home with better talent. Ole Miss still has the coaching staff, I don't know where this is going to land.
Me neither.
Right? I really don't. But this is the slate for the SEC is exciting for me because can Vanderbilt do it again? Right? That's really the question we're asking. We're not going to be surprised if they do it this time because Kentucky has no offense. Now the question is, Ole Miss gave up their playoff mulligan already to Kentucky, right? Because y'all know 9-3 ain't getting you in.
No.
Right? So you could only lose 2. So they've already thrown their mulligan in on the front 9. And here's in the game where they're favored on the road against a better recruiter. I don't have a bet on this, but I'm leaning just taking the LSU and the points. I just think it's just going to be just a fantastic. I'm looking forward to this game as much as anything to see what happens here. To set the table for LSU for the rest of the season or Ole Miss for the rest of the season.
Okay. So Bartoo is leaning, taking the points. It's 3.5. It went up another half. I mean, this is weird. I can't. So Ole Miss is laying 3.5. It's night game at LSU. And Bartoo just dropped the numbers. Ole Miss's numbers are phenomenal. Top 25 offensive scoring. Total scoring efficiency. They come in at number 10. And then LSU slowly improving on defense, and Nussmeier in that offense can absolutely go. I have no idea. But it feels like I don't know. Ole Miss has played well on defense, but it kind of feels like a track meet a little bit, Bartoo.
Well, one of the things too is with the back half of the schedule, I think we aren't doing our due diligence if you're not looking forward to who are you playing next. Right? I mean, how much of a trap game is this for one of these teams? Who does Ole Miss have next?
They got to buy.
You have next. Okay, so that's a plus, right? So I don't know where this game's going, but if you look at Tennessee, Florida, this is a great example of a monster trap game. Monster trap game, right? I didn't look forward on LSU, Ole Miss. I didn't have time this morning, but like that Tennessee, Florida game. Is Tennessee's laying what, 15.5 at home?
15.5, Bartoo.
Right, 15.5 at home. They're coming off a loss, so we don't know emotionally how they're going to respond. Right, like Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth.
Amen to that.
Pittman and the Hogs punched them in the mouth last week, right? And now they got Florida coming in, and they're going to overlook Florida. I 100% believe that. But Florida comes in with the 33 best offensive scoring efficiency in the country, on one of the toughest schedules so far. So offensively, Florida, solid. Defensively, 67th. Okay, so the defense ain't there. So we got the 16th offense of Kentucky going up against 67th defense. So points should be at a premium in this ball game. But do you know who Tennessee has next week? Bama.
Ooh.
They got Bama next week, so they're coming off a loss. Looking forward to Alabama next week. This is 100% trap. So
I didn't see that.
Wow. Right. So I don't lean. This is not a strong lean for me. But if you said, Dave, you got to bet $20, timeout lounge, walk up to the cage, place your bet. I'm taking the 15.5 because that's 3 scores against a team that's coming off a big loss and plays Bama next week. I think they're going to look right past Florida. And we saw what happened when Kentucky looked past South Carolina to go on the road. Boom. Bad things happen when you don't focus one game at a time. I think this is a classic trap for the Vols.
All right. Dave Bartoo, show me the money on the Out of Bounds show. ESPN 105.9 The Zone. And it's brought to you by Pearl River Resort and the super cool sports book inside the Golden Moon Casino. It's the Timeout Lounge. Bet $50 there. Play award-winning Dancing Rabbit Golf Club for $40. We'll be there tomorrow. Looking forward. And we'll be live from the sports book, not Dancing Rabbit like we have been. And it's going to be a great night tonight and then tomorrow morning for the show. Okay, Bartoo, I need to rewind back to South Carolina at Bama. We had some listeners. Yeah. Because they like the way that you say, hey, bounce back. This is happening with your team. You just lost. You just had a big win, da-da-da-da-da. So South Carolina plays at Bama at 11 a.m. this weekend. Bama's coming off a devastating loss. South Carolina was dominated by Ole Miss. The line is 20. Alabama is laying 21, and it's 50.5 total, Bartoo.
Dude, do you want anything to do with Bama coming off a loss?
No. No.
Right? I mean, do you want anything to do with this game? Right? Again, these are polarized. The SEC is so exciting this week for me because this is just polarizing to me. Because South Carolina runs really hot and cold. You got Bama coming off of a loss. You know, they've had that shoved in their face for every second since that game ended all week.
Yeah.
You know, you're going up against a head coach that's 30-4 in FBS play. But still, you got to question the defense right now. I mean, this is the number one. Still, Alabama's still the number one scoring efficiency offense in college football. Right? It's the defense over the last 6 quarters that makes you go, huh? What just happened there? But with South Carolina, last week you were facing a top 25 scoring efficiency offense in Vanderbilt against South Carolina. Now you're at home facing a 62 offense. Okay? Huge difference. But it's still kind of scary to me. But I circled this game because Alabama, if you notice, for whatever reason, the second halves haven't been kind to them.
No.
I do like. I'm guessing Alabama's a 13-point favorite, maybe a 10.5 point favorite in the first half against South Carolina. That's what I'd bet. Bet that first half. First half side. That is the one that I am most confident in this ball game. And you have a total of 50.5, but you know, that 62 offense of South. I'm not betting an over with that kind of offense. If I'm leaning anything, I'm leaning under, but I think 50.5 is a pretty low number to be pushing under on the number one scoring efficiency offense in college football.
Okay.
So of all of our bets that we could make right now, I'd like to walk up, order my Bloody Mary, get my Philip M steak, go get ready for my tea time, and drop some money on Alabama covering the first half.
I love it. Bartoo on the Out of Bounds show and the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Okay, Bartoo, you said South Carolina offensive scoring efficiency is 62nd. We had a listener, they didn't catch Kentucky's offensive scoring efficiency is what?
91st.
Good Lord.
91st. So no, Kentucky is like Baltimore Ravens, baby. You know, 13-10. Just get me the W, right? I mean, Stoops just walked
Brad
the line
White is so good. Stoops owes him $2 million of his $9.5 million salary every year. Goodness.
Brad White is a national championship level DC.
Wow.
He really is. He is one of the top 10.
So if you drop Brad White at Alabama or LSU.
Alabama. Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. LSU, everybody's like, woo, Baker. I'm like, man, if somebody told me we passed on Brad White to get Baker at LSU, I would empty the clip. I mean, come on. Right? I mean,
for our listeners, he's talking about last year, Kelly fired his DC and hired the Mizzou DC Baker instead. I mean, you're LSU. You can do what you want instead of going and getting Brad White, which is probably like Dave Aranda, according to Bartoo. And then you're instead of 60-something, you're probably 24th, and you're a whole different ball club this year and maybe could win it with Nussmeier at quarterback. Unbelievable. Okay. Bartoo's bangers on the. Do you have any off the? Because people are loving this. They're enjoying other, and it may be a marquee game. But do you have a couple of games for Bartoo's bangers that you like this weekend?
Well, I think let me wrap up the SEC for you real quick too. I do like Texas Oklahoma under.
Okay.
These are two defensive oriented teams. You got the number 1 and number 9 defense in the country going up against the number 7 and number 51 offense in the country. So I like the defensive lean in that game. And the other line that I like is these first half ones. Look, Georgia is favored by 34.5 over Mississippi State, but I do like Georgia in the first half. I don't like being on the hook for 34.5 for a full game. But I like Georgia in the first half of that one as well.
I smell an upset in Athens. Go ahead.
I would say that would be a bigger upset than Vanderbilt beating Alabama.
You're right. Knowing what we know now, or what you knew going in, but what we know now.
Just looking at the line, but I'm sitting here looking at scoring efficiencies going, yeah. So now as far as the games that we only watch because we got money on them, we got a game tonight. So last night I was on Florida International plus 16 at Liberty, and that one worked out well. Tonight we got Jacksonville State hosting New Mexico State, right? And Jacksonville State is laying 20.5 at home. Now, Jacksonville State's defense, 91st in the country. New Mexico State's offense, 96. So we got a wash there. But look at this matchup, dude. New Mexico State defensive scoring efficiency, 120th in the country. Jacksonville State, 15th. I really like Jacksonville State scoring an absolute ton of points early, often, first half, full game. I like Jackson, and you're at home. You got a better staff. You got better recruiting. You got the home field. You have by far the best unit on the field. You got the 15th offense. Everything else is in the 90s and the 100s, and you're laying 20.5. So if you need something to bet tonight to entertain yourself, take Jacksonville State and lay the points. Tomorrow, Thursday night football, we got James Madison at Coastal Carolina. We got the number 9 offense and the number 29 offense, over 60.5. This is a big offensive lean in this football game. I like James Madison, Coastal Carolina over because we've got 2 top 30 offenses taking the field. On top of that, you got Coastal Carolina 99th in defensive scoring efficiency. So Coastal should give up an absolute ton of points, but they should score a lot as well. So I really like that in that football game tomorrow night. And for a side, this one kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies. I never thought in my life I would bet on Sonny Cumbie, and you probably shouldn't. Don't take my advice here because he sucks. I mean, everybody that's been worse than him in the last 3 years have all been fired. Okay, this is somehow Louisiana Tech doesn't give 2 S's about anything football-wise, and because they're terrible, right? They got 110th offense, but they have the 37th best defense so far. Middle Tennessee, dude, this is already a failure. 132nd on offense, 128th on defense. Middle Tennessee, bottom 5 team in college football. Louisiana Tech, if you want to take out the points, it's only -5. Take the money line, but if you need something to gamble on Thursday night, that one's for you as well.
Love it. Love you, Bartoo. Rich Rod forever. See you, dude.
Take it easy, brother.
Jacksonville State. Rich Rod can just flat out coach. He wins everywhere. That was great. Show me the money. Brought to you by Pearl River Resort and the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook and Lounge and award-winning Dancing Rabbit Golf Club. Also, for when you invite Jackson and I over to your house, wings on the grill and ice-cold Stella Artois. Thanks for listening to the show. It will be all on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Search Out of Bounds with Bo Bounds. Live from Pearl River Resort tomorrow.